Hello all, very good evening. Thanks for joining the session. Let us start from today onwards the CI/CD pipeline. CI/CD pipeline using the DevOps tools. Let us start. So who have already joined for the DevOps with AWS course, for them it is a continuous session. And the guys who joined only, if any who joined only for the CI/CD pipeline tools, for them this is the demo 1. The agenda of this demo 1, demo 2 and demo 3 is understanding what is continuous integration, what is continuous integration, and next is why do we need it? Why do we need it? Is it really needed? And second, what is continuous deployment? What is continuous deployment or delivery? So this is called CD. So what is continuous integration? What is continuous deployment or delivery? And then how we can achieve the CI and CD. Okay, before that we need to understand what is pipeline. What is pipeline? So what is pipeline? What is CI? What is CD? We need to understand. Then after we understanding this, then we have to see how we build CI CD pipeline and what are the benefits of it, what are the benefits of it, and how it accelerated the DevOps process. So this is the agenda. In these 3 days, let us understand this one. By the way, the prerequisite for this course, CI/CD pipeline tools, the duration of the CI/CD pipeline tools is 45 days, and then price of this course is 6,000, and prerequisites are the Linux and then Git knowledge is the prerequisite. Don't worry if you don't know Git, we'll share you the Git videos so that you can follow and then catch up. But Linux is mandatorily the prerequisite because our platform of building the CI/CD pipeline is on the complete Linux operating system only. Okay.
Sir, I have two questions.
Mhm.
Are we using AWS for it, or like Linux on our own machine?
AWS
first.
EC2 instances we
Okay.
are using.
And sir, how much this course is beneficial for Java developers?
Yeah, it will be a lot of beneficial because we gonna deploy the microservices and we gonna deploy the Spring Boot application end to end. So Java developers will definitely understand what is the behind scene of their development. Once they do the development and then they will commit the code to somewhere else, they don't know what is happening behind the scenes to go into the deployment. So this is where they will know clarity. I mean, they will get the full clarity on how the deployment will be happening in general in productions.
Right. So, sir, I have seen the course content on website, but if still you want to, sir, you can share the tools like what we are going to cover, like Maven, Nexus, Datadog, or Grafana, kind of, right?
Correct.
So
correct.
that will be beneficial. Yeah.
Correct. That is
okay, sir.
what I'm going to showcase first.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So now going to the course content, we said course duration is 45 days, right? So course content, let us see what will be covered in this CI/CD pipeline. What will be covered? First, in CI/CD pipeline tools. So Git is already completed, but Git is the tool we will use. Git and GitHub. So we will use what actually the Git and then GitHub. In fact, we can also use the GitLab and then other repositories as well, remote repositories as well, but Git and GitHub. So this is already completed. We'll give you the videos. Then Maven, and then the Jenkins, and then the SonarQube, and then the Jfrog Artifactory, and Nexus Artifactory. And after this, then we'll go for study the Docker, and after Docker, we will see the registry, understanding the registry, setting up the registry using the Harbor. Of course, later in time we will use ECR, but Harbor is the the content covered in this course, especially CI/CD. And then later on time for the DevOps engineers who joined for the AWS also, for them later on time ECR will be covered, Elastic Container Registry will be covered, but for the CI/CD guys only the Harbor will be covered. So Harbor is called as a Docker private registry. So how to set it up and all we will see. And then after completing the Docker, then Kubernetes. In earlier CI/CD pipeline course, we haven't added the Kubernetes, but as we are now charging the 6,000, it is well worth to add this Kubernetes also. So Kubernetes is also there. This is a tools overview, like how we will use, and then meaning what are the tools we will use. Then how these tools will be used is, let me explain you through one diagram. And before that, how we will use these tools and all. First, let us see the support matrix, like how we will set up this. Okay, before going to see how we will set up this, let us first see these tools I have said, right? Of course, detailed description of the course content we already provided, and I will also showcase you the detailed description of the course content, like what will be covered and in depth, right? All these things we will see.
Sir, I have one question. Like how is it different from means CI/CD different from DevOps? Like means DevOps is same like CI/CD or something different?
No, actually, DevOps is what, CI/CD, the course, whatever course point of view, I'll explain why CI/CD is designed. So DevOps meaning, all the things, meaning prerequisite things also will be covered, meaning what is DevOps, a lot of introduction theory, and then we'll cover this DevOps tools. So using DevOps tool, we will do the CI/CD pipeline. But the difference between the CI/CD course and then DevOps course is what, the guys who joined for the DevOps later on time, they will use the AWS to set up this entire pipeline on the AWS things. What I mean to say is, if we can scroll down here, so later on time in CI/CD pipeline, we will cover till Kubernetes only. But the DevOps guys will also allow to learn the EKS, which is already a hosted solution given by the AWS. Not only that, DevOps engineers will be allowed to learn the AWS concepts very in depth and then apply the AWS concepts to our pipeline. But the CI/CD pipeline course is designed in such a way only to showcase you the end-to-end process from source code commit and then source code uh, merge request to the source code deployment in the cluster. So this entire things we will showcase on the AWS EC2 machines. But the DevOps engineers will be allowed to do, in spite of this EC2, they will all allowed to use other AWS services also, and then they will strengthen this CI/CD pipeline. And next is, for the DevOps engineers, monitoring tools also will be covered. But for the CI/CD, the monitoring tools I have not taken. Let me double check the course content. Did I added the monitoring tools? I believe I have not added the monitoring tools, because monitoring tools were not as part of the CI/CD course content, but DevOps engineers must and should have to know about the monitoring tools. So that is the difference between the DevOps and then the CI/CD course.
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Hmm.
Sir, right now, market, sir, I have any openings for freshers, sir?
Yes, definitely. The DevOps freshers are trained freshers are allowing. I mean, the companies are, requesting the trained freshers for the interviews. Meaning they are posting the jobs for the trained freshers.
Okay.
Trained freshers, not all raw freshers. There is a lot of difference between the pass out freshers and the trained freshers. So
Okay,
for the
okay.
trained freshers, opportunities were there.
Yes, sir. I'm working as a system admin, sir. I have a 3 years of experience, and I learned also VMware also, sir. Right now I'm working as a VMware admin, sir. So I want to learn DevOps. I don't know CI/CD pipeline and DevOps. I don't know clarified.
Okay.
Just I know I'm joined right now this session, sir.
Okay, I think you can continue with the CI/CD pipeline, but you must have to join for the AWS as well, because without one cloud knowledge, learning.
Yes, sir. I know AWS, sir. I'm just
Then that is
AWS. I just learned AWS.
that is good. Then good to go with the CI/CD pipeline is good enough actually.
Yeah, my doubt is it opening for freshers?
Yeah, openings were there actually for the DevOps freshers. Openings were there. Even you can see, you can go to the Naukri Monster and you can find out a lot of openings were there. I have seen, but trained
In
freshers
startup
they are
companies
expecting.
also, any openings, sir? Startup companies like
Nowadays everyone is using the DevOps.
yes,
So
sir.
so definitely openings were there. Even most of the openings I have seen on DevOps is in Bangalore actually, rather than Hyderabad. Bangalore city companies are offering more opportunities for the DevOps engineers.
Okay.
Fine. So let us continue
After,
further.
sir, I have a small doubt, sir. After learning this course, we can survey in real time also, sir.
Yeah, 100%. Because the way and then the complexity of the application that we do is in real time in this pipeline, 2 to 3 DevOps engineers will work. But here, as we alone will do this pipeline setup from end to end. So if you guys will properly follow me, and if you guys will properly practice the things, it will be 100% useful in your real time. You never be back. You never be look back. I'm sure. There is no doubt at all, because it is not hello world kind of an applications we're going to deploy. We're going to deploy a complex application where the database is there, where the application will connect to the database over the network. There is a lot of complexities out there in the application.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, folks, now let us go and then see the course agenda. Okay, so Git and then GitHub, Maven, Jenkins, SonarQube, Jfrog RT factory and Nexus repository, Docker. ECR is out of scope for CI/CD, but Harbor will be there in the course content. I believe you can see somewhere Harbor as well. In the poster, I believe in the poster you can see Harbor, and then the Kubernetes. Now, what are all the tools that will gives you the job is Kubernetes is the tool. If you will be a professional, if you have a professional experience, if you get a proficient experience, I mean to say proficient experience on Kubernetes, and then proficient experience on Docker, and proficient experience on Jenkins, enough will give you 100% job. If you learn Jenkins very well, you have a very good confidence, but you don't know Docker, you don't know Kubernetes, you never get job for sure. You know Docker, you know Kubernetes, but you don't know Jenkins, you definitely will get job. You don't know Jenkins, you don't know Docker, you know only Kubernetes. That situation never be occur, because if you want to know Kubernetes, you must have to be know very well about the Docker and containers, images, container management and all. So that situation never come. If a guy is proficient on Kubernetes, that means by default, he will be have a proficient experience or understanding on the Docker as well. What I mean to say is, if Docker and Kubernetes will be learned, you will get the job. If you learn the Jenkins also at the proficient level, you never get any hiccups in your day-to-day job activity. The other tools are good to know. Add-on tools, good to know. That means not mandatory, I'm not saying, but if you learn, that will be added advantage to your profile. But you must have to learn thoroughly Jenkins, Kubernetes, and then Docker. Jenkins, whatever the course we are covering, that is at the Jenkins Administrator Certificate level course. You can happily attend, you can happily write the Jenkins Administrator certification after attending the course. So what I mean to say is that level we will deal with the Jenkins. And the Kubernetes. Kubernetes, there is a Kubernetes admin certificate level is the Kubernetes. You can attend the Kubernetes admin certification as well. And Docker is also very proficient. We will learn even any Docker certifications. You can learn you can easily write the Docker certifications. What I mean to say is that depth of the concepts we will learn is up to the certification level. There is no doubt at all. And the course content that I planned is what, by going through the various examination dumps, certification examination dumps, I was prepared the course content. So it will be helpful for you. And of course, I was also taking some Google help and some GitHub help while preparing this course content. So the course content, whatever I prepared, is up to the certification level. There is no doubt at all. If you thoroughly practice it day to day, If you follow me for this 45 days, and then if you are confident enough at the end of your course, you will get 100% job. And then you will also don't get any issues while you are doing your day-to-day job. That is for sure. Okay. Now, before going to understanding, meaning how these tools will be connected together, is nothing but a pipeline. Pipeline meaning what? Whatever the tools we have learned here, right? So these tools, how we will make them to be collaborate each other to function the deployment from source code integration to the source code deployment. So in order to go further understanding about this course content, that means the flow of this architecture, what we gonna implement in order to understand this further. Yeah, my bad, I missed one tool. It seems to be Ansible will also cover. So after Jfrog Docker, we will go with the Ansible here. So our 8th tool is the Ansible, and then the 9th tool is the Kubernetes. So these are all the tools that will be covered. Git and GitHub is already completed. Videos will be provided to you. Videos will be provided to you. So Marvin, we will start, and then Jenkins will start. Jenkins is a always ongoing. The duration of this Jenkins is 45 days. Till how many days you will attend your CI/CD pipeline sessions? Till that date, the Jenkins sessions will go on. That means our day-to-day job, day-to-day life will begin with Jenkins, and then day ends with the Jenkins. That much of professional experience we have to get it on it. However, now before going to make you understand this flow, let me try to first explain this flow one more time. I believe it may or may not understand to you. Then I will start discussing about what is continuous integration, what is the problem without continuous integration, what is continuous deployment or delivery, and what is pipeline. Then again, I will connect you guys to this pipeline flow to understand. Okay. Now, a rough idea, to give you a rough idea.
Narsi, sorry to bother. Just a quick question.
Yeah.
So I don't particularly use this tool, but I have seen it. It's a tool called as Chef or CHF. So are we? Is it outdated, or we? I mean, I'm not totally into DOS, but have seen somewhere like Ansible.
Yeah,
and Chef.
correct. Chef and
So
then
some
gives.
Yeah, can you, if you, one or two lines regarding that, is if it is outdated or they're still using? I mean, can you? That will be really helpful.
Nowadays, most of the people are most of the applications are migrating or developing as the microservices. So our pipeline should be as simple as such. So Chef is used for what? Infrastructure management. That means, for example, we have the 10 servers or hundreds of servers. In order to manage that hundreds of servers, we will use Chef. So the same here we are doing in a more efficient way, more performatic way, and in a simpler installation, simpler maintenance way using the Ansible. So complex applications only using the Chef, but the applications like microservices or middle scale applications not using Chef, using the Ansible for the infrastructure automation. Got it?
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Fine. Now, let me try to explain you this pipeline one time. Maybe you will get or may not be you will get. Don't panic. Again, I will go back and then explain the enough theory. Come back to this pipeline. Okay. Now, he is the developer. Usually, a developer will have the source code with him. Sir, what is source code? Source code meaning some lines of instruction, some lines, like how you will write email to your manager, like how you will write text messages to your friends through the WhatsApp. right? That is a verbal messages, isn't it? Similar to that verbal messages, there will be some programming languages which will be understand the lines of instructions. For example, if I type hi, hello, you will be easily understand because the language between you and me is common language which you know and which me know. Similarly, there were programming languages which can be which can be used by the developers. So using that programming languages, developers will write the instructions. See this, if you can see, I have written so many instructions here in this file. Lot of instructions I have written. So these instructions, nothing but what, code, source code. Source code meaning the lines of instructions that were written using any of the programming language, which can be understood by the other developers who know the same programming language, isn't it? So the communication. So the to build the applications, for example, this is one application, complex application, in fact, which we gonna use in our CI/CD pipeline to deploy it. A lot of complex application it is, meaning a lot of other modules are there, but for now only the customer's module has been implemented. So let me start this application just in a case, just to showcase you. Okay, I'm just starting the application just to showcase you. So this application source code, I'm a developer, I have this application source code. So this application source code, I cannot keep it with me, isn't it? Because my laptop may crash at any moment of time, or the code, whatever I have written, may be required to other developers also to work with my code, right? Or maybe I may left the company without sharing this code to any other one. Then the effort, the time that I spent is waste for the company. So that is the reason, whatever the code the developers will write, whatever the code the developers will write, that code the developers will keep in the central location called remote repositories like GitHubs. GitHub is a remote repository. GitLab is a remote repository, isn't it? So AWS code commit is also a remote repository. So likewise, the developer's code will be kept securely in a remote repository. Then that code will be taken by the other developer as well to work with the code whatever the developer A completed. And based on the code written by the developer B, developer A also write something on top of it, right? Maybe this guy is writing the code for the login and then the logout. And this guy is writing the code for sign up, email, triggering, and OTP notifications, isn't it? Now, testers would like to test a complete functionality. That means sign up, email notification, email verification, and then login and then log out. This is the complete functionality the testers would like to test. Then only it will be called as a functional testing. So for that, what we need to do, the developer A code, developer B code, both the codes need to be merged together, isn't it, in a centralized place. So this is that build server integrated environment. So where all the developers code will be merged into a integrated environment. This is our build server. So usually this build server we will use as the Jenkins. You got my point, right? So in our pipeline, so this Jenkins is called as a integrated environment. So all the developers code will be keep in the Git repository, meaning the combined code of all the developers will keep in the Git repository. Not Git repository, but just assume some source code repository, SCM, we call it as source code management repositories. Not only Git, Not only GitLab or GitHub, any other remote repository, even our custom remote repository also, we can build a custom remote repository like GitHub, GitLab as well. The point is what, all the developers who have developed their code, right? All the developers code will be clubbed together in an integrated environment. That integrated environment is called as the build server. Such a build server we will be used as the Jenkins. See this Jenkins. Now all the developers, maybe this is one guy, so this is one person, isn't it? Like this one person, there might be another person as well. So there might be some other person as well. So this also, let me just control Z. So this person also a developer 2, right? Maybe there might be developer 3, there might be developer 4. So these developers, he is working on the login and logout. He is working on, one moment, just a moment. Sorry guys. So this person is working on login and then the logout. This person working on registration and then the email verification, OTP generation. This person working on the dashboard preparation, and this person working on some other features. Now, testers would like to test all these functionalities. Now, independently, in your laptop, registration code is there. My laptop, login code is there. Some other person's laptop, dashboard code is there. So now all our code need to be merged in a single build server so that all our code will be available as a application like this. So maybe whatever the application I have ran, right? So that might be started. So like this, localhost :5001. Yes. So this is the application. Now let us log in. Now as soon as we log in, yes, we can see this is the dashboard, right? So someone might have working on that login page, and someone is working on the registration. For example, if we can go back, then create an account. So someone might be working on registration, and then the register with the Facebook, register with the Twitter, right? And then someone is working on the login, and once after login, for example, admin and then admin. Maybe someone working on this dashboard preparation, right? And maybe someone is working on this modules, maybe customers module. So this is the customers module. In this customers module, maybe someone is working on this pagination part, or maybe someone is working on the searching part, right? Maybe we want to search with the matching email called ABC, right? There is only one email. This is the application, but we gonna deploy finally in our Kubernetes cluster. But what I mean to say is various developers are working on various pieces of the application. So when all the pieces will be collaborated or merged together, then only we can see this combined application as a full functionality. So where we can integrate all these pieces together. So in order to integrate all these pieces together, we need a build server, a centralized build server. Such a centralized build server we will be used as the Jenkins. Now what Jenkins will do is, when the developers will complete their development and then the developers will merge the code to the release branch. Guys, can you please mute? Because it is recording, right? Maybe disturbances will also be recorded. Please be mute. Thanks. Now what will happen? All the developers code will be merged together into this integrated environment. Now in this integrated environment, we will configure the jobs. Job meaning what? A scheduling. Schedulers meaning As soon as the code is merged in this branch of the remote repository. Now see this, there is one more point also you need to understand. Developer A is working on a branch called feature 2. Developer B is working on a branch called feature 1. So this is the branches. Branches of what? Branches of our remote repository like Git repository. So if you can see here, like as how we have the various branches main, branches feature, middle app apps, branches monolithic app. Likewise, these developers also working on the various branches. Why we create the branches? Because the developer B related code will be developed only in the developer B branch, developer B created branch, without affecting the master branch or the common branch. So like that, each and every developer, when they start writing the source code, they will write the source code in a particular branch. Likewise, the developer 1 have the feature 2 branch, developer B have the feature 1 branch. These are all the branch code will be merged to a QA release branch on the same remote machine, meaning GitHub. So as soon as the release branch will be merged with the source code, if you can see, now when this GitHub is merged with all the source codes of the developers, then the build server will start taking the source code from the remote repository. So how the build server will take? For that, there are techniques. There are techniques to configure the build server to pull the source code from the remote repository as soon as all the developers code will be merged. All the developers code, when all the developers code will be merged, then our Jenkins, meaning our build server, will take the code from the repository. So here we will configure the jobs. So a sample job I will showcase you. So this is what a sample job configuration. Middle app, pre-clinic app. So let me log in once. Let me log in quickly and then showcase you that. So this is what one job. There are two things we will configure. One is job, second one is pipeline. In real time, we will configure the pipelines, not jobs. Not jobs, pipelines we will configure. So for now, I have been created with one job just to give you the overview or idea of CI/CD, but going forward, we will be complete this pipeline. We will be with the pipeline only, because in real time, we will be create the pipelines, not the jobs. Okay, however, now if you can see source code management. So our Jenkins build server, please correlate with this diagram. Our build server is now connecting with the source code repository. Here we have given the source code repository URL. And also we have given in that source code repository from which branch the build server should have to take the code. So in the source code repository from the main branch, the source code will be taken by our build server. So this is the branch from here, and then this is the URL from here. Our Jenkins build server will take the code when any changes happen to the source code. That means when all the developers source code will be merged into this branch. Maybe this is the developer A branch, this is developer B branch. But when the developer A code, developer B code will be merged into this main branch, then only our Jenkins will go to the above source code repository and then will get the source code. Once it get the source code, so it will get the source code, isn't it? I think till here it is clear, right? Any questions still here? Any questions still here? Are we good? Are we good? So this is, your voice is breaking.
Please tell once again about, sir, please tell Jenkins.
So what this Jenkins is, what actually build server. So you probably got the context of this one, right? So all the developers code should have to pull to some integrated environment.
Yes.
That integrated machine is called the Jenkins. Now how the Jenkins will get the code from this repository? So in Jenkins, we will write the pipelines and also we will write the jobs. So in pipeline or maybe the job. So if it is the pipeline, it will be like this. Just in a moment, we will go with this one. If it is a pipeline, we will go with the pipeline as a code syntax. Pack, we call it as a pack, which is we will use in our real time. So either it is the pipeline or it is the build job. The only thing what we are telling is what is the branch and what is the repository where the code is there, right? So the source code of all the developers we are putting in what repository, what remote repository, what GitHub or GitLab, what is the remote repository, and in which branch the code is there. So these two informations we will mention in our job or maybe in the pipeline. Then our Jenkins will go to this particular URL and then this particular branch, because in this particular repository URL, there might be any number of branches like main branch, feature branch, some other branches. From which branch we have to get the code, into which branch all the developers will merge their code. That is the branch we have to give here. So our Jenkins will go to this repository and our Jenkins will go to this branch, and from there it will pull the source code. When it will pull is when all the developers code will be merged. So in this diagram, developer 1 code, developer 2 code is merging into this branch. So when the developer 1 code, developer 2 code, when the code is merged with this branch, then our integrated environment, that means Jenkins, will take the code. Okay, now Jenkins will take the source code, whatever the source code available in this repository, this entire source code will be taken by our Jenkins. After taking the source code, till here, is it clear, guys? Before going further, just in case, clear, right? Yeah, that means till
sir,
here.
I have a question. In the Jenkins, there is a source management tab.
Correct.
So you already configured the URL and the branch.
Correct.
Then why do you have to give in the pipeline also?
No, actually, Jenkins, okay, we can take the code, we can build the code either through the job, either through the pipeline, isn't it? So pipeline is using mostly. So why I have created job here just for demonstrating purpose, but in real time, we will use the pipeline. So the benefit of using the pipeline is what, you know, we can create one Jenkins file and then we can keep that Jenkins file in the same source code repository. And if you want to configure anything related to the Jenkins job, that we can configure from the source code repository only, without even log into this Jenkins and without going through these tabs and all, without going to these tabs and without logging, whatever the configuration we want, we can only configure from this file. So that is called pipeline as a code. So to achieve that pack, pipeline as a code, we will go with the pipeline. You got it? Huh? Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Great. Fine. Now let us go to our next step. Okay, our integrated server got the code, what it will do. So source code it got. whatever the source code, it may be the Java code, it may be the Python code, it may be the PHP code, whatever it is. Assume now it is a Java code, and this code has been, this project has been created using the Maven. So our build server also should have to perform the source code building by using the same Maven. What is the source code building, sir? What is the source code building is, okay, if we can go to this source code, you can see a lots of files here, isn't it? So one is the customer module, second one is the dashboard module, third one is the orders module, fourth one is the products module, security module, all these modules. So these modules, as it is, we cannot place in the server. So now I am able to access the code as an application here, isn't it? Why I'm able to access the code as an application here? Because I have deployed this entire code in the server. So what I mean to say is, server, in order to deploy the code into the server, we need to first build it, compress it, right? Same example, for example, 40-50 documents you want to send. You got one job, your HR interview asked you to send you your files to release you the offer. The files may contains what? Your SSC memo, inter memo, degree memo, BTech memo, or MCA memo, and then your previous employment, your pay slips, your statements, your Form 16, your all experiences, relieving letters. These are all the bunch of documents they will ask. This bunch of documents, how you will send? Will you be attached one after the other to the email? No. We will first zip it. That means we are compressing it. That zip contains what? All your documents inside in it. And then that zip we are sending to the HR manager. Similar to here, assume HR manager is like a server here. Now to the server, how we have to send? We have to send these all the files by compressing. Then the server will extract that compressed, these are all the files server will extract, and then server will again start understanding this code. You got it? So that means what? In order to compress the code to move into the server, what I mean to say is, if we can see here, this diagram. Okay, so maybe this diagram is not depicting the server deployment, but if we can go and then see this diagram itself only. So we need to deploy the application in the cluster. Sorry, our end goal is to deploy our application in the Kubernetes cluster. So in order to deploy in the Kubernetes cluster, whatever the source code that we have, that means the source code meaning these are all the files. These are all the files we cannot send as is to our Kubernetes cluster. Rather, we have to compress it. So that compression is nothing but, built. So when we compress it, we will get one outcome. When you zip your files, you will get a 7-zip file or WinRAR file. That is the outcome. Similarly, when we build the code, when we compress the code, then we will get one outcome. That outcome is called as an artifact. That artifact may be a zip file, a .exe file, a jar file, a var file, ER file, or .py file, or maybe .php file, or maybe .js file, anything. That can be anything. But we are compressing the whole list of files into a we are compressing the whole list of files into a one build. That build contains all the files inside in it in a compressed format, so that we can easily transport it, isn't it? So that is also happening same here. So in order to compress that files, we will use the compression tool called Maven here. Like how you will use WinZip or 7-zip or WinRAR to compress all your files into a zip folder. Similarly here, to compress all the source code, the Java source code, we will use the Maven tool. We'll use the Maven tool. Now see, Maven is a source code build management tool. Source code build management tool. So Jenkins is doing what? Jenkins is getting the code from the remote repository to this. Jenkins is doing what? Jenkins is getting the source code repository, all the developers source code repository from remote repository to Jenkins is getting into the Jenkins machine. Correct? After we got the source code into the Jenkins machine, whatever the source code there is, whatever the source code in our Git repository, so whatever the source code in our Git repository, the same source code is coming to our Jenkins machine. So you can see that here as well. Let me showcase you the same source code you can see here. Let me show. This is the Jenkins machine. So this is the Jenkins machine. Let me duplicate this tab just in case I would like to showcase you that source code on the Jenkins machine from the remote repository. Let me log in as a root user first. Let me clear everything and let me go to OPT and Medilab app builds ls-l and cd space workspace ls-l and cd space Medilab. Sorry, I was given wrong name. Medilab preclinic app ls-l. See this? The complete source code. The complete source code. This one. This Docker, whatever the complete source code till here. Whatever there on the remote repository. That remote repository source code is we are copying onto the Jenkins machine. And then we are building the code, we are compressing the code so that when we compress the code, we are getting, when we compress the code, we are getting one artifact. So this artifact we will transport to the server. Got it? So to compress this entire source code to this artifact, we are using the Maven because this is the Maven based project. So first of all, here we need to understand two things. The first thing is what? The process of pulling the source code from remote repository to the Jenkins machine is called as continuous integration. So the process of pulling the source code from the remote repository, from the source code repository to our Jenkins machine is called as continuous integration. So once using continuous integration, once after we got the source code onto our Jenkins machine, then using Maven, we will build it to get the artifact. Now that artifact, the var file, we need to deploy in the servers, but the servers are not here. Servers are somewhere here. So we need to transport it. So in order to transport it, we will use the various tools. So let us discuss about these other tools in a combination tomorrow. So that's all for today. Any questions for me?
Sir, artifact is different or var file is different, sir?
Both are same. Var file is nothing but artifact only. Artifact meaning it can be a var, it can be a jar, it can be a ER, it can be a 7-zip, it can be .exe, anything. But outcome of a build is called as an artifact.
Sir, is Maven compile the code and build it? No?
Correct. It will compile the code and then it will build it. Correct.
Class files are also there in the directory, sir?
Correct. Class files are also there. The artifact contains only the class files.
Okay. Sir, this is Narendra. Please talk to the backend team, sir, because they denied the access.
For 8 p.m.
8 p.m. batch recording, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I'll speak to them.
Okay,
Sir, one question. Once you deploy the artifact to the server, is the artifact then again has to be, let's say, unzipped to, I mean, for the server to understand the code?
Correct.
That works? Okay.
Correct. Exactly same. So the server need to unzip that artifact and then server will understand it. So how it will be and all we'll discuss maybe coming up sessions, how the server will understand and all. Because server will also, whatever the var file is there, right? So there is a server contains the, engines, Servlet engine, JSP engine, some engines it will have. So those engines will understand this artifact easily. So that process I'll discuss tomorrow.
Okay.
Sir, is Kubernetes completed in 8 PM batch, sir?
No, Kubernetes is not completed in 8 PM batch. Kubernetes is started in 8 PM batch, and Kubernetes, we have completed the Kubernetes setup, single node cluster setup, high availability setup, meaning one master, 3 workers. This high available installation is completed. Now I am explaining the YML. So once after the YML is done, then we'll back to Kubernetes and then write the Kubernetes YML files.
Because you will start the AWS batch on 27th July. Before that, you will finish the Ansible Kubernetes in the batch?
Before that, we will finish the Kubernetes, not Ansible. Ansible will be left. I mean, Ansible will be still there. But for you guys, 8 PM, who are joined CI/CD for 8 PM, right? For them, Ansible I will be complete. Ansible is a small tool only. It won't take much time. Just 1 week of it. 1 week meaning 3 to 5 days it will be taken. That's it.
Sir, Kubernetes is a heavy tool, sir. It is. Are you teaching this course, sir?
Yes, correct. CI/CD pipeline will cover the complete Kubernetes. At the certification level, I will teach.
Sir, PAC is completed in the 8 PM batch, sir. Pipeline as a code.
PAC is not yet complete.
Okay,
that
sir.
I will come. PAC is not complete.
Sir, sorry for the talk to the backend team, sir.
Yeah. I'll talk to backend team, Narendra. I got your concern. I'll talk to them.
2 days
Sir,
onwards.
if you don't mind, how many years of experience for you, sir?
Yeah, actually, I'm an associate architect. I have 12 plus years of experience. Since 2017, I'm been working on this DevOps particularly, but since 2010, I'm working on the various areas like development, front end, back end, security. And my key strengths are the identity and access management, the Java development, front-end development using the React, and then this DevOps, AWS Cloud, Google Cloud, and then especially the Kubernetes and then Docker. So these are my key strengths.
Sir, actually, you explained the difference between this CI/CD pipeline course and DevOps, but something little bit I didn't get, like CI/CD pipeline.
What I explained is the difference between the DevOps course and then the CI/CD pipeline course that I have.
But I think same tools we are covering there as well, no? DevOps.
In DevOps, actually, monitoring tools will also come. In DevOps, monitoring tools will come, and in DevOps, AWS will also be covered for them.
Okay.
But for the CI/CD, AWS all services won't cover. Only EC2 we will take.
Okay, means CI/CD means just means creating a pipeline from scratch.
Correct.
Correct.
By understanding each and every tool in depth.
Yeah. Okay, and in DevOps, same thing we are doing, but at the same time, we are also covering AWS, and we are trying to set up. Means we are trying to use those services. Those are there in AWS to create the pipeline as there as well.
Exactly correct.
And here we are creating pipeline from scratch using the tools.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Sir,
so this video lecture recordings will be on the same drive location?
Yes. So they will be provided to you, same drive location, and whoever have been enrolled for these demos, for them, it will be come to your email ID.
Any coding needed?
No coding, nothing. No coding.
Knowledge.
No, nothing, not required. Being a DevOps engineer or being a CI/CD pipeline maintainer, You never bother about the underlying technology, what it is. You will always bother about how we can build the pipeline. That's it.
But he wrote the code on pipeline job.
For that, the developers will help us. We don't need to worry about it. We mandatorily have to work with the developers. That is what the DevOps actually. It's a collaboration. Correct. Development and then operations will be collaboratively completed.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Rahul Sharma this side. Sir, can we say this course as a project like?
Correct. If I understood your question correctly, can we put this project, can we put whatever the project we are doing as your resume project? Is that your question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, correct. You can put easily, but if others also will keep the same project, that might be little different. That might be little problem, because maybe 30-40 members will attend the session. We don't know who also showcasing the same project. We don't know, isn't it? The idea we have to, the concepts you have to practice on this, but the same concepts you have to explain on the other projects if you have any.
So, sir, in this course, we are going to learn like different tools.
Correct.
In this course.
Correct. All these pipeline tools you will learn, and then how these tools.
How these tools are related in this project.
Exactly.
Like all CI/CD.
Exactly. So what are the concepts we are using to relate them, and how when the developers will merge the code within just 2 to 3 minutes of time, those changes should have to come to the customers when they type in the URL. Correct. So how that is happening is what we will see end to end.
So, sir, before we need to learn this, I think we need to learn this tool as well, like Kubernetes, Docker.
Not required. I will cover from scratch. It is not only a kind of a project we are doing. No, I will explain the concepts. That concepts we will leverage here. It is a conceptual things. So, for example, Kubernetes will complete first. Then we will integrate with our pipeline. No need to learn anything. You come with just if you have the Linux knowledge, that is more than enough. Nothing. Everything I will take care of.
Sir, I had also joined your next batch of Docker as well. So Docker is separate batch.
Correct. It is 7 AM going to be started.
Yeah. So, sir, in the next Docker batch course, means this is completely Docker related.
Correct. Only Docker. Only this tool. Only this one. Okay. How we will Dockerize our Java applications, Node.js application, Python applications, React applications. So those 6 projects I will showcase on in the Docker sections.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, I have to join to the 8 PM session.
Hello, sir. One more
this
question.
course duration is 45 days only. Yes.
If I use C++ project, then what would be the outcome or artifact for that?
Yeah, if we use the C++, so
project.
The artifact of it is what, always some libraries. Those libraries we call as platform dependent libraries. So that will be .lib or some JNI or sometimes exe also. So that artifact is different. So we need to use the connector. We need to use the connectors now inside the Jenkins to generate the build for that C and C++ applications as well. But honestly speaking, I also never get a chance to work on those C and C++ build pipelines, honestly speaking. Okay.
Because most of my work on C++, so it would be nice if you can give me some pointers on that. But yeah.
Yeah, sure, definitely. I'll definitely will give the pointers. Huh? I'll just.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, folks. Thank you so much, because the other guys are waiting on the 8 PM link. See you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you so much.